Hello, hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I am your host, John Harris. My Dead Lakes, who have got on the show with me right now. They've got a new EP called New Language, which released via Sharp Tone Records in May. Right now I'm being joined by Sumner to share some stories about the music and share more info about what the Dead Lakes have got going on. So Sumner, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, John. Seriously, we really appreciate you having us on here. This is awesome.
Absolutely. You could say it's a bit of paradise to...
100%. 100%. We need a little bit of some more like this with everything going on right now. So these are my little vacations, is doing these cool, awesome like podcasts and stuff. So thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Great to have you on. And I remember when I first got the announcement from Emma sent me the announcement saying, hey, you guys are signed to Sharp Tone Records. So number one, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's a kind of like a childhood dream coming true. So we're pumped up.
Yeah, perfect. And then obviously announcing, the EP New Language. And at the time, it was just the one single, Close to Me. And I thought, this is super cool stuff. I'm going to keep a note on these guys. And then the next single came, Paradise, and the next single after that came. And I thought, I need to get these guys on the show now because I really dig what they're doing.
Yes. That's awesome. Thank you so much for saying that. Seriously, we took a big step with this record, and we genuinely, even though we took all of our precautions, we went to Eric Ron, who obviously has a great track record and stuff. We were still nervous about what the reception would be like, especially because this is our first time, really having a real, decent-sized audience listening to our music for the first time. So it was definitely nerve-wracking, so I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Paradise, which is top of the spot on Spotify, it's explosive, it's anthemic.
Yeah.
Everything I think Paradise should be, but there's something really quite emotive, nostalgic, maybe even slightly wistful about the track. So I'm curious, when it comes to the track title Paradise, is it maybe not so paradisiacal?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. The song is really about basically, I think everybody has anxieties and self-doubt and go through things in life that create, little pockets of that, and it affects how they feel about themselves, or how, and honestly, how they make decisions and how they let people close or don't let people close. And Paradise was just about a time I was going through when I was feeling a lot of self-doubt and not really believing even my friends about, the things that they would say that would try to bring me up and stuff like that. And that song's just kind of about explaining to the people close to me what I was going through during that time, and how, they make it feel like paradise. My actual life is very much like paradise, and it's just kind of a perspective thing. And just kind of battling with that stuff and coming out on the other side of it. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible topic and an incredibly deep topic. I'm curious if you wouldn't mind diving a little bit deeper into that, because, anybody listening in who might also have similar feelings, how did you power through that?
Yeah, that's actually a very fair question. And I definitely have, it's been little steps along the way of healing. I think, honestly, the biggest step that I've really taken recently, I haven't gotten a chance to actually talk about this, so I'm really excited. But I don't know, I recently let those people that Paradise is about, I've let them in and been able to trust them. I feel like throughout my life, people come and go, and that goes for everybody, I feel like. But I've lost plenty of friend groups along the way, and my life has been very transient and isolated and alone, at points. So trusting people and letting people in is tough. But, really feeling confident to make that decision and be willing to take on the hurt that can come from trusting people or allowing them to have that power over you to be able to hurt you, and just trusting that their nature isn't to do that. I had to get over that. And luckily, that's how I powered through it. I had really supportive people around me that I was able to trust in and know that they'll be here for the long haul. And that's basically it. It's such a process. And if anybody's listening that is going through anything like that, they should know that there's no right or wrong way to process those emotions and to deal with traumas and your past and stuff like that. So give yourself a little forgiveness there. It's not going to happen overnight, and I'm still growing too. So I like writing about that stuff just so, people can relate to that, I feel like.
Yeah. And I think the key word there is give yourself the forgiveness and I think sometimes struggling with what does forgiveness mean, or to mean to me, and how to transcend through even just that one word right there.
100%, yeah. It's tough, we have, especially when we have all of our thoughts in our head and we think we have it figured out, or we've spent too much time isolated with certain thoughts. We kind of create the narrative for ourselves and don't allow ourselves forgiveness to be able to process that. We're very hard on ourselves, because of everything that we've been through, as human beings, and that's okay. But forgiveness is just allowing yourself to know, like, that, maybe today wasn't a step forward, but you're going to give yourself a chance tomorrow. You're not going to let it snowball, anymore, if that makes sense.
Sure does. Reminds me of What About Bob? Not what is it called? What About Bob? Anyway, Bill Murray movie, Baby Steps.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's funny.
Now, if you dug the track Paradise, you want to check out the music video, you may do so by going to today's show notes at www.therockandrollpodcast.ca. Now, speaking of more bouts of hope, or at least I hope, let's go ahead and listen to the next track, SMS Happiness.
Yeah. It's my favorite.
SMS Happiness, which is the latest single, and something we were chatting about somewhere in the pre-roll, was it's a different animal. It's a different beast. And something that you had just mentioned, in the introduction to playing this song, is that it's your favorite track. So let's start there. Why is this your favorite track, Sumner?
Yeah, it's my favorite track. When we wrote it, it was for a side project of mine and Max, my roommate, who's also our guitarist. We do a lot of the skeletons for Dead Lakes, and we just wanted to learn more about production, so we started a little side project that's R&B based. We haven't released any tracks yet because the first track we wrote was SMS Happiness, and our manager got a hold of it, and we turned it into a Dead Lake song. But the reason why it's my favorite is just because I guess I didn't feel like I had to appease anybody, or I wasn't writing it to, fit a mold that people would be happy with. It was a side project just for fun. So during the creative process, there was no bars held, we were doing whatever we wanted to do, and lyrically the same way. Like, I didn't feel I had to talk in a certain way or say things in a certain way to make people not say, like, I don't know. It's funny. If you look online, SMS definitely gets the most hate, but it's also definitely gotten a lot of, like, the most love as well. And I think it just speaks to, like, how wild the track is comparatively to the rest, and I just feel like it really encompasses what we're trying to do in the future as well. But yeah, I love the lyrical side of the track and the instrumental side of the track so much. Yeah, I mean, something that you mentioned there as well, something I was going to ask, since it wasn't intended, essentially what we'll call, not necessarily for the airwaves, but at least for Dead Lakes, is what was it like creating something that basically you had no, I don't even want to call it handcuffs, right? But absolutely. Yeah, no, it was like the most freeing feeling, and that's kind of why we started that side project anyways. We almost felt like at a certain point in Dead Lakes that we had to separate two passions of ours, or two sides of us that we've realized we didn't have to, and that's how it became a Dead Lake song. Is just the I don't know how to explain it, but I guess basically just, again, feeling like there's a certain demographic or a certain personality type that we have to appease by writing songs, and it just feels great to be able to freely create. I feel like we took a lot of steps in doing that, and honestly, that was one of the last tracks we really wrote for the record, and I feel like we've just grown so much in our songwriting since then. Like, LP1 will be very very different, very different than even this EP. And that's thanks to taking a little step of faith in releasing SMS basically as a Dead Lakes track.
Mm-hmm. I guess another question that I have, Sumner, is you mentioned turning it into a Dead Lakes track, and that sounds like it's still evolving, as you had just mentioned mentioned the long play and how the long play is going to evolve further from there. So I guess my question is, at least maybe in this particular point in time and space, what goes into crafting a track to become a Dead Lakes track? How did SMS Happiness become a Dead Lakes track?
Yeah, so our manager got it's okay, this is a wild story, whatever. We'll go the full approach. I'm going to give it all to you. So, and it's a little long-winded, so I'll try to make it a little quick, but basically I was on a tour working merch for 1,000 Below while they were on the road with Dance Gavin Dance, Don Broco, Covet, and Hail the Sun. and we had recently gone on a tour with Thousand Below, so that's how I became friends with those guys. And I showed them the Night Project version, which is our side project name. I showed them that version of the song, and they were just like, Jimmy, their vocalist, was basically like pressuring me every other day, just like making like jokes that he was serious about, like, we're not going to take you guys out on tour if you don't make that into a Dead Lakes track, and a bunch of stuff like that. And we shared the same manager at the time. So basically, he found out that we had the track, Jason, and we sent Jason the track, and he liked it, so we turned it into a Dead Lakes song. And we honestly didn't touch it until we even got into the studio with Eric Ron. Those were the first changes we were really making to the song from the original version, and that's why I think so much of the original kind of stuck, which is kind of nice. But yeah, we went to the studio and we just figured out how we wanted to add that rock element, because at the end of the day, like, we never want Dead Lakes to not have rock involvement. That's what we've always been, and that's like, I don't know, it's definitely like, I think that's the main foundational piece that'll always remain, is like, we want to incorporate that rock band vibe and the rock aesthetic because we grew up in it, did DIY tours for years, and it's definitely a part of our identity. But none of us really listen to bands in the scene as much anymore, and a lot of us listen to a lot poppier and hip hop and R&B inspired stuff. So we're just trying to make sure that we're staying true to both of those things, keeping that rock image and also incorporating the stuff we like listening to today.
Yeah.
And SMS is kind of that creation there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you dug these tracks, Paradise and SMS Happiness, you'll be super excited to know that there is an EP called New Language, which released via Sharp Tone Records in May. Now, I guess my big honking question here, Sumner, is take us through New Language. What went into crafting this EP? What should we expect when we pick up the rest of the EP?
Yeah, I think that the two tracks that weren't released as singles really are kind of, I don't know, you listen to a record of your favorite band, and sometimes it's like the other tracks that really stand out to you or really like are the glue for the singles. And so I think that you'll find that with the other two tracks that didn't come out as singles. But I guess my point behind that is that like New Language, the title track, really encompasses all of the feelings and emotions of the other four tracks into kind of one message, and that's why it's the title track. And basically the EP is just all about, you know, not letting societal standards tell you how to feel about yourself or if you're successful or not, and really finding out what happiness means to you. It's like such an individual experience, and finding out what makes you happy, finding out what makes you feel like a good person at the end of the day, and that you've grown or had growth. So New Language is literally creating like a new language for yourself and creating a new set of standards that make you feel like the best you that you can be. And I feel like you get like the sassiness on the title track. And then No Gods, No Masters is a really deep track for me. It's about a really personal experience I was going through when I was kind of growing into my own person, when I was getting out of high school and getting out of my first long-term relationship. I think that song might actually be the only song that even really is about a love relationship on the record, which is funny because a lot of people take a lot of the lyrics from the record and feel that way about it, which is kind of the intention. But anyways, No Gods, No Masters is just about a time in my life where I was trying to reach out to my father during a time that I was going through a rough breakup, and I was feeling very low, and I wasn't fully myself yet or comfortable with myself, and I had suicidal thoughts and those sorts of things. And I felt like I was looking for something from my dad that he wasn't necessarily giving me, because the thing that pulled him out of low spots was looking towards God and praying to God and stuff like that. And I really tried that route, and it just didn't work for me. So I guess the song is just really about how it didn't work out for me, like his viewpoint. I really just wanted like the relationship aspect with my dad during that time, instead of like the push off of just pushing me to, deal with these things with God, or to really find solace in that. And I know his heart was in the right place, but for me, that it was actually like a very negative thing in the fact that I wasn't able to properly deal with those emotions at that time. So basically, I guess the point is you can expect a lot of deep emotional things on the record, but because I just dove deep there. I've never told that story to anybody, really, I just think that there is a lot of personal, true, like raw emotion on the record. But at the end of the day, like I'm in a really happy, positive place now, and I just really hope you get that. That's why the imagery is all neon and bright, is because at the end of the day, like I am sitting where I am now. I'm happy with my life, and things are on an upward trajectory. And I don't want people to get the wrong notions of what the emotions on the track really mean. It all comes to a positive conclusion, in my opinion. So there's a lot to the record, and I hope you check it out, because you just heard it all. So.
Wow. Well, I think you stressed something incredibly important there, and in the beginning of the interview, we touched on the word forgiveness, and I really wanted to latch onto that word because it is the portal through which one can transcend into the other side, and there are many different ways to achieve that result. And for your dad, it was a structural religious way of doing it, and for you, not so much. And as long as you're able to find that transcendence through forgiveness, you'll get there. And for anybody listening in who's struggling with even a similar type of situation, that just a big part of it is. I recently read a
that forgiveness aspect. Yeah.
I just recently read a biography from somebody who was saying that their mom was asking to be taken to a therapist to get help for her depression, and their father's response was, "Well, you don't need a therapist. You need to pray." And it's like, well, maybe that doesn't work for everybody.
Exactly. And I think that's the danger in it. Like, I think that, and I don't want to push anybody away, obviously. And because again, this isn't like a war on, religion or anything like that, but I do think it's like a topic worth having a conversation over to say, is it really healthy to tell somebody something in that sort of circumstance? Like, if they're asking for help during that time and they're thinking they might want to see a therapist, and you tell them to talk to God, I don't know. But personally, I think that, you can recommend what you have, but I think maybe both together could be a good thing for that individual. Personally, religion isn't really my thing. I don't find substance for myself there. So I just think it's slightly dangerous to tell people that, because I think that's where, sometimes suicides can happen if they don't hear a voice on the other side, like helping them work through their problems. They're just going to keep dealing with them and think they're doing something wrong with the praying thing. You know what I mean? It's definitely, obviously, every like I've said before, every instance is such an individual experience. But my personal opinion is it's so dangerous. It's just so dangerous to tell people to talk to something that sometimes you don't really hear something on the other end of the line. Your tin
can phone system didn't work. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Thank
Weird.
You.
Yeah. But I think you stressed on something important. Was it's not a war on it. Well, no, it's just that is a pathway that works for some people. It's a pathway that doesn't work for others, and
exactly, yeah.
It's dangerous to suggest that whatever pathway works for you needs to be the law for everybody else.
And that's my whole point with all the ways that I feel about the societal structures that we live in. I feel like we are kind of shown a general way of living, a general way of finding entertainment, a general way of I don't know, everybody's kind of led to these certain things to fulfill everything in life, and sometimes we don't question it enough, and I think that's why people get depressed in a society like this, because they don't feel represented, I guess, by what their true nature makes them happy, or where they find solace, or whatever the case may be. But it's dangerous assuming that what works for one person works for everybody. We're all such complicated individuals, and again, the word individual I think is just so important. Yeah.
Hallelujah. Beautiful. All right. Well, Sumner, normally we'd be chatting about tours and shows, but that's on hold for some time. So basically, unless there's anything else that you wanted to chat about, anything that I missed, anything that's news aside from that, I just wanted to thank you for coming on to the Rock Little Podcast.
Yo, thank you seriously so much for having us, John. Like, it's awesome. I love doing this stuff. It's so much fun just getting to talk to people. And yeah, I'm really like thankful that you had us on. And we don't know what we're doing tour wise. We haven't toured in almost 2 years, and we are itching because we used to tour every 3 months. So we're excited to get back out there. And if anybody's listening, and please check out the EP and tell a friend about it. We're still such like a young, small band, and we just really appreciate the support. And I just think it's cool if you somehow made it to the end of this listening to me talk to John. So thank you. I appreciate you.